So that should be it. So thank you very much, Dawn, for joining us today. My name is Suzanne Todd. I'm the current secretary of the Global Board of the International Academy of Family Lawyers, and I am joined by one of our fabulous past presidents. And what we're going to do before talking about his role in the IAFL, I'm just to ask him to introduce him to us and to give us a brief resume of your career to start us off.
You want a brief background of what my practice?
Perfect.
Well, and I graduated from Florida University Law School in December of 1967, passed the Florida bar in 1968, and began my practice with a sole practitioner who didn't know much of what he was doing. And I was with him a year and a half, changed offices to another practitioner who was brilliant and mean. And he took me through the practice by what we call baptism by fire, which is not the best way, but it worked, because if I lost a case or a hearing, I was fired. That's the baptism fire. No training, no guidance, just throw you into the fire. It's like going into the swimming pool and swim or die.
Exactly, sink or swim.
And that was where I had my best practice, which was in every area of law, from personal injury, medical malpractice, contract, family law, and anything else that there was, we handled it. And it was a very interesting 3 years, because I had to work from 6 in the morning till 1 or 2 at night, 7 days a week. And after 3 years, then I moved and joined a firm in which I became a partner for 15 years, and then ultimately started my own firm, which still exists with my son and George Estero, with the firm that we've had since I started it.
Brilliant.
Is that what you want to know?
That sounds perfect. Can you you've given us a little bit of career highlights in terms of your baptism of fire, but are there 2 or 3 things that would stand out for you in terms of cases or people that you've dealt with along the way?
Well, that is a little difficult from the standpoint I don't like to disclose cases with names of clients and things, but some of them people already know about that are national, and like Jennifer Lopez was a client, and numerous, but that happened after I started my firm for the most part, because that's when my firm became primarily family law. Prior to that, we'd done everything else. And then, as you know, I went ahead and became chairman of the family law section for the state of Florida, and then became a president of the International Academy. And I was on the board of the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers. And during that period of time, I was the author of the Equitable Distribution Statute for Family Lawyers in the state of Florida, which is still the law in Florida.
Brilliant.
And I also became the author of the test for family law practitioners who want to be certified as specialists in the state of Florida. And that test is still in existence today for those who wish to be certified.
Obviously a good test then. That's really cool.
Apparently it was.
Very good. Tell me, as you look now from sort of 30,000 foot, what top tips would you give young family lawyers today?
Well, the ideal would be if young lawyers, family lawyers, would associate with a firm with a very good reputation, who will have a partner or a person designated to give you guidance and help you along the way, and then to tell you that be prepared to spend all the time necessary, hours if necessary, to be prepared for every event, hearing, deposition, trial, because it is from that you're going to either win or lose, and your reputation is going to be made. And if you haven't prepared, everybody will know.
And it's
do well.
Yeah. And it's very different
you
in
have
the
if you have a wife or a partner who will support you, as I was lucky enough to have.
indeed most important. I'm fortunate, and I have one of those at home as well. His name is Stephen,
Oh,
which is
wonderful.
good. So, looking back, what career advice would you give your younger self? Is there anything that you would look back and say, should have done this, could have done this?
Oh, yes, I would have loved to, when I started practicing law, that I would have been able to have started with a firm like they're doing today with bonus pays. And I started for $250 a month. And my wife was a teacher and she made more money than me. So I caught the city bus to go to work. So I'd like to do that different.
Incredible. Oh my goodness. Do you know they're paying the newly qualified solicitors in the US firms here in London £150,000 a year in the
Yeah,
US firms in
no, I would
London?
like to have joined there.
Different, different. There's a big, as you can imagine, there's a big discussion both in the professional world but in the family law world at the minute about, and it's touching on what you've just, how we try and balance our work and life commitments. Have you got any thoughts on how we can best work towards that goal?
Well, it's one that is sort of individual with the people, but what we tried to do is Diane and I kept each other involved in what I was doing and what she was doing and the children were doing, and we participated in their activities. And we made it a rule that I would be home for dinner to eat with the family and the children, no matter what, even though I left right away and went back to the office till 1 o'clock in the morning, but we would spend the time together and we would take our vacations together. It would be probably an extra vacation after one of the professional meetings, and we would go together. And finally, by joining the International, we were able to travel all over together
Yeah,
and participate together. And that was very helpful.
fantastic. So tell me, that's all great, but how did you first become involved with the IAFL?
Well, that's sort of interesting. A very good friend of mine, a practitioner here in West Palm Beach, whose name was James O'Flaherty. He was chairman of the family law section for the American Bar Association. He then became the president of the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers. And he suggested to me that he had an idea for an International Academy meeting. And what did I think about it? And we discussed it. And so he set up a meeting in London when the American Bar Association's meeting took place in London that year. And he set up a meeting, and Miles was in it. And I believe it was at a lounge called the Scribes or something like that in London. And we had a large number of people there to come and discuss whether they would be interested in the formation of this organization. And it turned out very well. And it was after that that it began progressing and ultimately became the International Academy, which was then known as Matrimonial Lawyers and changed to Family. Yeah. And James O'Flaherty, it was his idea, and he's the one that started it. And that's how I got involved.
Brilliant. And then tell me, when were you president?
When was I president? I was president in, I wrote it down. It was 2006. Let me look at it here. 2007, 2008.
Brilliant. And where were your meetings?
My meetings were the first one that I had, which was in 2007, was in St. Petersburg, Russia. And we then arranged for a meeting for the week after, those that wanted to go, to take an overnight train to Moscow, and had set up a complete program for Moscow during that period of time. And that
Brilliant.
was the first meeting.
I remember some of the Withers, I was an associate in those days. I remember some of the Withers partners going to that conference. So I do. And then where was your second meeting?
Second meeting was then in South Africa in Cape Town, and Brilliant. We arranged for everybody to have a safari afterwards.
Fantastic, fantastic. And tell me, what were the highlights for you from your presidency?
Well, my highlight was the two meetings as far as I was concerned, but more importantly was expanding the organization and getting to know more of the members. And I would even come with Diane and we would come and have lunch at the offices with some of the people in London. And we, for 26 years, came to London, which was the highlight during Christmas time for a meeting of the Academy, and had wonderful occasions. And we were able around the world then to meet and make friends. And that's what was a highlight for me.
Brilliant. So imagine that you are a young family lawyer now. The application form is always quite daunting for the IAFL, or I remember it took me a whole day to fill it in. What would be, if you were to give a young family lawyer now 3 reasons for joining the Academy, what would you say?
Well, I would say that it would be a fantastic idea for them to join, to be able to participate in international actions. For instance, we participated in the Hague Convention, and you get to know the best lawyers in the world around the world. And you get to travel to their locations, you get to participate in their activities. And ultimately, there is a very benefit from the fact that there are cases that are traded back and forth, and clients are referred back and forth, but that's not the major reason. The major reason is to encourage yourself to get better at yourself and learn more about the law in the various locations, and in at the same time enjoy yourself while you're doing it.
Indeed, that sounds fantastic. So do you have a vision? You're in a special situation because you've watched Tom has just finished his 2 years as president. So in terms of what we as the Academy should be concentrating on, or the vision for the future for the next decade or so, do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, that's a very difficult question, but obviously I have followed what the Academy is doing international, and I think it's doing very, very well, that expanding its membership to other countries and locations. One of the things I would like to see us do, if they will, is to try and encourage some of the other countries to become participants in the Hague Convention over stealing of children. There are a number of countries that are not in any way, shape, or form participants or respecting any of that. And I would like to see us to do everything we can to get them to be participants, to become members of that Hague Convention. But also, they're doing a wonderful job of gathering up more countries and people to become members of our organization. And I think that's a wonderful thing. And the educational programs need to be concentrated on. They're different for different places. Indeed. Your practice is different than our practice. For instance, you're a solicitor, and here in the United States, we're both solicitor and barrister.
I know. I'm so glad I don't have to prepare for trials.
It is a little different. And so sometimes what we present in the educational programs are not as good for you as they could be. So we need to concentrate on making sure it's up, it helps both places.
But you can always learn.
We have a rule in my office, at least when I was there, that if we had a new associate, they had to be told that they would participate in every family organization, starting with the Florida's family law section, and become active in it. And then whenever they were able to join and become in the American Academy and ultimately the International Academy, and they must become more board certified as a specialist in family law. And these were all things that if they did not comply to that, we let them go.
Yeah.
Because that's how important it was to us.
But I was lucky. So our equivalent of your local bar association is Resolution over here, and I was on the young committee of Resolution, and then I sat on the London committee, and then I sort of graduated to IAFL, as it were. So, I completely agree with you that those stepping stones, because you get to know you get to know the local market, you get to know the people who are working in your area, and that can only be good, from the client's point of view. That's fantastic.
Did you attend the last meeting that Tom had?
Oh,
Did you attend the
absolutely.
last meeting? How was
Absolutely.
it?
It was fantastic. Chile rocked. It was really good.
That's
It was
great.
it was my first time in South America, so it was like it ticked lots of boxes from my point of view. So yeah, no, it was really good. So it was, and Marrakesh as well. I was in Marrakesh as well. So they were both big hits. So they were. So this is really cool. So tell me, now that you're not working from 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. every day, what are you doing with your time?
Well, fortunately, Diane and I are able to still travel, and we went back to South Africa for another trip because we enjoyed it, and we travel from time to time. And I play golf and have played about 3 days a week. Read my book, work in the yard, and as I said, and enjoy life.
Brilliant. Fantastic. That's on my horizon. I've got about 15 years to go, I think. I'll get there eventually, so I will.
Yes, you.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to stop recording now. But I just a big thank you on behalf of all of us at the IAFL for being willing to give up your time to prepare and to join me today to share all of that really helpful background and history.
Well, I've enjoyed it very much. Thank you so much.